Morena, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Hearings Committee meeting to hear the long-term plan and rates remission policy and postponement policies this morning. Deputy Mayor, would you like to open with a Karakia, please?
Certainly. Mai te pai maunga, rara ki te tai. Mai te awa tonga, rara ki te awa raki. Tēnei te hapori, awhia e taratahi, whanau, haramai te toki, homie, huie, taha.
Thank you. We do not have any apologies this morning. That's great. Moving on to the agenda, we come to the conflicts of interest declaration. Up to our members to please identify any conflicts of interest.
I can.
Yeah.
We'll go around the table. I will start. I've got conflicts of interest in submission 76, which is Wairarapa Water Advocacy Group, as I'm a member of the Wairarapa Water Resilience Group, which is mentioned in the submission. 71, the Historical Society. The author is and presenter is related to me. 122, the 122, 117 and 34, all to do with the Carterton Indoor Pool. I am a member of the Carterton Lions Club, which has endorsed the project with a letter of support. Thank you.
I have a conflict with Carterton Indoor Pool and Carterton District Historical Society.
Any other conflicts to be, Councillor Newman?
Conflict with number 47, Go Carterton. I'm a contractor to them. Number 49, Business Wairarapa. They're an umbrella group that Go Carterton sits under. Number 85, I'm just declaring it, not sure if it is, Grant Sidaway. He has a group and I've attended the group to answer questions that they had talking about Carterton Township and the indoor pool project. I am a key holder of the pool. Don't know if I need to declare that.
Okay. Councillor Ayling?
I just want to declare a conflict with our first submitter, who is my husband.
Thank you. No other conflicts?
No.
Any other conflicts from any other councillors? Steve?
I conflict with the Go Carterton submissions and that I am a member. I'm no longer on the executive, and the pool in a small way, in that the Carterton Rotary Club, of which I'm president, has also endorsed the project, and we're doing what we can to help.
I'm also a member of Carterton Rotary, and as we've endorsed the indoor pool project as well, likewise. Are there any other conflicts to declare?
I don't know if I actually do, but I'm going to put it on the table anyway. I have been definitely supporting fundraising for Carterton Indoor Pool, and I intend to keep doing that, as you will see in the media soon, but it's on the table.
So there are no other conflicts of interest?
Only a point of order, Madam Chair. Councillor Ayling's submission, do we have information that clarifies a councillor who submits on certain subjects or topics, where does that conflict start and end?
Okay, so in answer to your question, as chair of the Hearings Committee, it is my role to highlight any conflict of interest of any members of the committee that have not already been declared. In reading the submissions, I note the submission from Councillor Ayling, in which there are 4 statements indicating a predetermined view on what council should be actioning. Councillor Ayling also ought to have declared that she had submitted. These statements are as follows. 1, with a slowing growth in our population, the steep rates increases are spread against a smaller population, many of which are on fixed incomes, therefore hurting individual families more. 2, spending $3 million on cycle trails is not core business, and in a time of nationwide belt tightening, having our council investing in cycle paths is tone deaf to the concerns and struggles of our ratepayers. 3, the event centre continues to be a significant cost burden to ratepayers, and CapEx spending of over 1.1 million in the first 3 years of the LTP is a misappropriation of spending and borrowing. 4, council needs to continue to focus spend on core business and cut its cloth to suit the tough economic times we're currently in. Based on information provided by the Office of the Auditor General, I make the following comments. There is a real danger of bias on the part of the member of the decision-making body in the sense that he or she might unfairly regard with favour or disfavour the case of a party to the issue under consideration. This is not limited to actual bias, but relates to the appearance or possibility of bias, reflecting the principle that justice should not only be done, but should be seen to be done. Whether or not members believe they are not biased is irrelevant. Members' focus should be on the nature of the conflicting interest or relationship and the risk it could pose for the decision-making process. The most common risks of non-pecuniary bias are whether members' statements or conduct indicate they have predetermined the decision before hearing all relevant information. That is, members have a closed mind. As Councillor Ayling's statements may make people think she is not going to listen to or consider all relevant information before she contributes to the decisions, this is clear predetermination. Therefore, the councillor is excluded from the submission process as an elected member, as predetermination is a clear conflict of interest. The councillor may remain through both the hearings and deliberations process as a ratepayer and member of the public, but because of predetermination shall not be participating in questioning of submitters or of deliberations by the hearings committee, as she has already predetermined what outcome should be achieved without hearing from the submitters. I also spoke with Philip Jones as the independent chair of Risk and Assurance, as there is significance here around the council's decision-making process. I won't read out where I got all the information, but if anyone would like to check where I have got it from, it is from the Office of Auditor General. Extracts from Conflicts of Interest Guide, Part 3, very, very clearly supports my decision. So, as chair, my decision is final. It is not open for discussion, and Councillor Ayling, I will ask you, please, if you could leave the table.
I'm sorry, so just for clarification, I'm excluded from speaking, I'm excluded from submitting orally, and I'm excluded from the delivery.
You are able to submit, which you are scheduled for this afternoon, absolutely, as a member of the public and a ratepayer.
Yeah.
But because of the perception of predetermination, we can't jeopardise our long-term plan process. And so I ask you now to leave the hearings committee. Thank you. Now, having moved on from conflicts of interest, public forum is next, but as part of our process, first, we move to report 5.1, which is the hearings and deliberations report, and which everyone has received, and 2 recommendations on that report. If there are no questions, and I'm conscious of time, and our first submitter was meant to speak at 9, do I have a mover that we receive the report? Thank you, Lou. Deputy Mayor, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Dalla. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against receiving the report? All right, thank you. And our second recommendation, I would like to move that we hear these submitters. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. As part of our hearings, you have 10 minutes to speak, and a bell will ring at 7 minutes, is it?
It'll be saying time.
Oh, so Robin will indicate time at 7 minutes if you wish to allow time for questions. Please speak only to your submissions, and councillors or committee members, I'd like to remind you that questions of our submitters are only in relation to their submissions. It's not a point for us to have discussions of. That's for our deliberations tomorrow. And I welcome to the table Jonathan Ayling for our first submitter. His submission is submission number 95.
Good morning. I apologise. I probably prefer to come to some of these community events dressed more like the deputy mayor. I feel a little bit more comfortable in that. I'm submitting. I'm speaking at the Royal Society right after, so heading along directly, and the dress code is slightly different. It's a pleasure to be able to submit here today on the long-term plan. As you already know, my name is Jonathan Ayling. I've lived in Carterton for over 5 years. Paying rates on our family home during that time. Over the 5 years I've lived here, as will not be news to any of you here, Carterton has consistently featured as the district with some of the highest rates, if not the highest rates in the country. A proposal to increase these rates considerably more over the next 10 years, 15% if it actually stuck to that in the next 10 years, next year alone, is simply an abuse of the trust our community has placed in this council. It is entirely inconsistent with the commitments each and every one of you made when you appeared at the Meet the Candidates event. At the time, some of you acknowledged that the rates burden was a major issue for young families, others for those at the other ends of life living on fixed incomes. But almost 2 years ago, every single one of you spoke gallantly, and I would suggest apparently disingenuously, about the way you recognise the burden rates put on residents in this community. I would ask, beyond simply dishonest, how exactly would you suggest we interpret your subsequent actions? I'm here in a personal capacity and speak on no one else's behalf, but I want to draw from my professional experience. I'm the chief executive of a large not-for-profit that works in the human rights space, and we have about 10,000 donors. So we have approximately twice as many donors as Carterton has ratepayers. Let me be frank, if I treated my donors the way you are treating your ratepayers, I would not have an organisation to lead. This is not a situation that is unique to Carterton Council, but it is one that is unfortunately well illustrated by this council, by you. I travel widely around New Zealand, meeting often with many local councillors. As I've done this over recent years, I've developed the strong opinion that local councils in New Zealand run the very great risk of losing their social licence. When meeting with the Minister for Local Government last week, I made this very point to him. As I have dinner with David Seymour this evening, I will say the same thing. If you continue in such a tone-deaf manner, indifferent to the mounting financial burden you consistently place on residents year after year, eventually, and I would suggest perhaps in not too long, you will provoke a backlash. This LTP proposes a 55% increase in council revenue over the next 10 years, primarily funded by rates. This while the population of the district is projected to increase only by 6%. If the Reserve Bank does its single job over this time, inflation will be less than 30%. A 6% increase in population means the 55% increase in council revenue still represents an almost 20% increase in real terms of council's equivalent purchasing power in 10 years. Why? What is the justification that has been presented that it is a strategic or sustainable or warranted decision for the council to be 1/5 larger in 10 years in comparison to what it is now? This is not an inevitability. There are real alternatives. You are making the decision to set the LTP at this level. I simply cannot imagine based on what justification. And I want to be clear, the fact that rates are high is not in and of itself something council should avoid. There are general expectations related to services residents expect from council. Council doesn't have a magic wand. It has to operate with the reality of ever-changing cost pressures. This has been admittedly difficult since COVID, but an organisation, and I think this is my key point, an organisation that does not have a strong identity and understanding of its purpose is an organisation condemned to distraction and unstrategic investment. So I ask you, what is the purpose of this council? Is increasing its size and comparative power and comparative value over the next 10 years by 20% really part of its function? Council's core work relates to water management, drinking waste and storm, key transport infrastructure, primarily roads, regulatory planning and waste management. Considerable price pressures exist on each of these core services, and they should not be neglected. Invest decisively in these services and jog on. If council is everything, council is a very expensive nothing. If you are responsible for the social well-being of our community, which I insist you are not, you're doing a terrible job at it. If you're responsible for the overall environmental well-being of our community, again, I insist you are not, you would be failing dramatically. If you are responsible for business development and prosperity, again, I believe you are not, you've been entirely unsuccessful. You are only responsible. You only have a duty, you are only answerable to provide a core set of basic services that other parties are not well placed to offer. That is the function of this council. But because you have not clearly articulated that peripheral features are not part of council's core business, you are still not succeeding because you are distracted and engaged unstrategically. Admittedly, the largest operating expenditure over the next 10 years is on transportation, 91.3 million or 28% of the budget. But it is followed by community services, 68.4 million or 21%, more than 10 million above water supply. This, while council debt is currently 106% of rates income. Really, is this a strategic approach? I would say that bloat has set in. This is seen in staffing numbers, proliferating community services, and frankly, flights of fancy. The inability for the event centre to support itself financially tells you something of the value residents place on it. I challenge the council to release what the cost per use will be of a biking trail and let residents decide if that aligns with their priorities.
7 minutes.
Council's total staff is over 100. The cost of this represents about 40% of the total expenditure of the council. The ratio of managers to staff is an incredible 1 to 5. The average manager, all 15 of them, is on a salary of an average of 120,000. Do you really believe this is the best use of the finances of our community? This council lacks the strategic vision to offer a core set of limited services that are well articulated, justified, and delivered. Currently, I pay over $14 a day for the privilege of living in Carterton. By the end of this LTP, I will be paying $20 a day, every day. For what? We're a small rural district with a small rate paying base. I love Carterton. I love living here, but not because of the council. I contend that virtually no resident of Carterton could outline an empirical, quantitative justification for the cost that they pay to live here. And you know what? Most of them know it. You will hear from individuals today who, like me, simply want council to deliver the basics well. That comes with costs. It may even come with rate increases, not what's being proposed. You will also hear from a number of organisations or interest groups asking you to take money from ratepayers to give it to them. But how many individuals are actually asking you to increase rates and do more? If you can't articulate a clear, limited vision of your purpose, of course you'll have organisations come, cap in hand, for a slice of the pie. Why wouldn't they try their luck? That does not translate into a democratic mandate for the people whose pockets you are dipping your sticky fingers into. Get the basics right. That costs, and you have no need to blush at those costs. But if you think that Carterton District Council is tasked with single-handedly creating the most exciting, sustainable, resilient, supportive community, that is an idea you should blush at. Council should reject this LTP and in its stead put in place a plan that clearly articulates Council's limited capacity, which will be invested in providing core basic services that other parties are not well placed to provide. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from any of our committee members in relation to this submission from Mr. Ayling?
Please.
Yeah, if you forward that through to Robin and then she will circulate it through to the committee, would be great.
Please do.
I just had one question. In your submission, you mentioned if local government does not reassess the prioritisation, are you talking about the whole of local government, bearing in mind that around the country all local government is in a very similar position with rates rises to us and some are a lot worse. So is it, I guess my question, the whole LG or just CDC?
And that's a really good question. I would say, and it's indicative by this LTP, it's indicative by the politicking that we've seen here today. Local government is largely turning into a shit show. And I would say that is true around the country. It is true based on the rate increases we see across the country. And it is especially true in Carterton, where we will still continue to pay some of the highest rates in the country.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you for your
Thank you very much.
Putting your submission in. Our next submitter that I would like to welcome to the table is Grant Sidaway. He's submitter number 85. And if I could also ask if everybody could switch their phones to silent, please, that would be great. Welcome.
Thank you.
7 minutes to speak, or you have a full 10 minutes, but if you'd like questions.
I have full 10 minutes. No one's asked questions.
Oh,
No, not at all.
the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mayor, councillors, fellow citizens that are gathered here today and online. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you or to talk with you and to talk about my submission. The submission I will read. You would have read it, I hope, but I will read it because it does make sense to do so. This is a request to the Carterton District Council to help improve the appeal of Carterton's High Street. Introduction: a group has been formed to work in partnership with the Carterton District Council and other like-minded community groups to improve the street appeal of Carterton, the main shopping and business streets in Carterton. From research to date, there appears to be widespread support for a more unified approach to lift the appeal of the town, which would better reflect the community spirit that we all know as Carterton. And I might add at this point, that I've lived here for just 2.5 years, and this by far is the best community that I've lived in from a community spirit point of view. Sadly, the town does not reflect that spirit. While some parts of the town have undergone appropriate upgrades, such as Holloway Street and some retail shops, this is lost by the overwhelming number of tatty buildings. This impacts the good work that has been done on the businesses trying to grow in this climate of difficulty for the retail sector, as well as the surrounding residential properties whose value is diminished by the overall look of the town. A point of reference is both Greytown and Martinborough appear to have a drive towards a common theme when it comes to the look and feel of the towns. We're not suggesting in any way that we want to emulate the look of these two towns, but feel they have a unified direction supported by council, by bylaws and strong community spirit. Whilst this submission, as mentioned, is not about trying to emulate either Greytown or Martinborough, it's a matter of supporting the existing businesses as well as a matter of pride and growth for our town, Carterton. At-risk buildings. Look, we're fully aware of the impact the earthquake risk buildings have as a contributing factor to the overall look of the town. However, there are steps that could be taken to mitigate this. We support the council's effort in trying to resolve this issue, but encourage them to be more proactive and prioritise this. Otherwise, we run the risk of losing those businesses that currently have upgraded and are trying to grow their businesses, thereby accelerating the likely downslide of Carterton. Value of having a unified, cohesive appearance. We understand some attempts have been made in the past, such as painting some buildings and other such projects to tidy up the town. Many people have told me of these efforts in the past. We've even had some individuals voluntarily cleaning shop windows and picking up rubbish, which demonstrates wonderful community spirit and a motivation to try and do something. This on its own, sadly, is not enough. What is needed is a cohesive and more determined effort from both community, business and residential, and the council to establish a better way of going forward. There appears to be no elements in this draft long-term plan that would support the need to upgrade the town. Whilst our group will want to be seen in context of a community-led project working in conjunction with others and the council itself must take this matter more seriously. Without doing so, over the period of this long-term plan, we'll be in a worse situation. Come 10 years, and there is a significant risk that existing buildings that have businesses that have taken steps to upgrade could fail. The lack of a cohesive appearance to the town is because there are no current regulations, bylaws to support this, resulting in things like poorly painted buildings, both in colour and quality of finish, abandoned buildings with old signage still on display. Robin, push the button.
Are you exhausted?
No.
Oh, okay, that's all right then. Keep
I have a
going.
slideshow that goes with it.
Oh,
Abandoned buildings with old signage still on display, gradually deteriorating, random posters on several abandoned buildings, unclean shop front windows, general disrepair of shop verandas. It would be negligent. Sorry, I'll come back. I've been thrown by my slides. You can click that through. It's not. Yeah, it's just not rolling on. If you're slightly queasy in the stomach, look away. In summary, this is not an image to be proud of. There is further anecdotal evidence that Carterton is somewhere that people drive through, as there appears to be no reason to stop here. This despite us being right on State Highway 2, so all traffic's coming through anyway. Our submission: recognise and support that what we have said is generally known in the community, that there is current nothing to stop any business or anyone taking on a property in the town and doing whatever they want to by way of colour, frontage, signage, maintenance, tidiness. We have no standards. We want the council to invest in assisting with the upgrade required by way of introducing a set of guidelines and ideally a bylaw to support the upgrade and ongoing maintenance. This may require engaging professional support to assist us all in creating and maintaining a positive, unified look to a town that reflects the tremendous community spirit and history that exists. It is important to note the council is not alone, nor should they be, but there are some things that only they can do to support community-led projects. This is possibly why previous community attempts have failed. It would be negligent of us all not to try and do everything in our power to restore and maintain the beautiful style that the Wairarapa is recognised for and that Carterton is part of. After all, we are but custodians in our lifetime and have a responsibility in this regard to put things right. Now, this kicked off as a project. I kind of wrestled with this for a while. I think I met with Ron, a couple of other councillors. Thank you. And they said the same thing that I was thinking. I think it needs a unified approach. I'm not poking the stick at the council. I'm saying you're part of the issue, but you have to be setting the standards. I kicked it off with a post on the Facebook site, Carterton notice board. I was a bit controversial. I headed it up, shabby town. And I got 200 responses. All of them saying, good on you. Formed a group. We've had 2 meetings. We've got a core of people who are really interested to do something and work with you on improving our town.
do you like any questions? Because we're
Yes, I would encourage.
sorry to interrupt you there, but
No.
committee members, Deputy Mayor first and then Mayor.
Thank you for your submission. What's your background?
My background is varied. I started out life as a draftsman, mechanical engineering draftsman. But for the past 27 years before I retired a couple of years ago, I ran an organisation in New Zealand, which I started called Senior Net, computing for people over 50. And I had 100 learning centres throughout New Zealand. We established it as a charity and it's seniors, teaching seniors computing and technology skills.
Thank you.
So look, thank you so much, Grant, for your submission. It's music to my ears, but I'm not too sure. I do have questions. Are you aware that in the past we had an organisation called Carterton District Business Association, and which is now called Go Carterton, and one of its key objectives back in those days was to try and move on the centre of town and to work, and it being a business association which had business people in it, which comprised many of those property owners.
Yes.
And how do you think we should get people who own these properties to move on upgrading, tidying up their shop frontages? Because I have tried.
Yeah, there's good questions. I have approached Go Carterton. I've talked to the head of Go Carterton. They're really interested. They're dedicated for this year on a couple of projects, and this would probably get in their way and they'd be overwhelmed. They'll also tell me that their membership today is just one retailer. The rest of their membership is in the services industry beyond the high street. So their focus is not necessarily towards the high street at the moment. I've talked to quite a number of other groups as well. They're all busy. Keep Carterton Beautiful, fantastic organisation. They're busy doing projects, helping the council, doing gardening and things, but their focus is definitely not on the high street. So that is why I think that it's necessary to be focused on the high street with a particular group such as the one that we're trying to form here and to work with you.
Conscious of time, Steve, did you have
No.
you're all good? Thank you so much for your submission and your passion. And as one of the community members that painted some of the shop fronts and picked up rubbish and unwashed windows, thank you.
My pleasure.
I'd like to welcome our next submitter to the table, Nicola from Business Wairarapa.
Kia ora koutou. I'd like to also welcome Carl Burling, General Manager of J&L, but also a highly valued board member of Business Wairarapa. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. On behalf of Business Wairarapa, we are both here today to present our long-term plan submission, speaking specifically to the theme of resilience in the form of business development. Since 2021, Business Wairarapa has been included in the Wairarapa Economic Development Strategy Forum, and we absolutely applaud the three councils in coming together to work collaboratively on economic development across the region. Business Wairarapa stands out as a proactive force in driving that economic development through providing and delivering training, connections, and lobbying on behalf of all Wairarapa businesses. Essentially, we do the doing. Whilst WEDS coordinates macro-level investment for initiatives across the region, and our valued local associations within our membership prioritise local networks and discussions, Business Wairarapa acts as the unifying force. We connect region-wide businesses, business associations, sector groups, councils, and government agencies into a singular and powerful database, which is accessible to all councils for consultation on major initiatives. Additionally, with an average of 3.5 employees per business and 30% of Wairarapa's workforce engaged in business ownership or self-employment, SMEs play a pivotal role in our economy. Business Wairarapa actively provides those services that increase capability of small businesses, plus we extend our services across all three districts to businesses across all sectors. Wairarapa Inc. Our goal is to represent 20% of Wairarapa's enterprises by 2027, fostering growth, development, and creating opportunities through collaboration, influence, and leadership. Our initiatives align with the Wellington Economic Development Plan, emphasising workforce development and resilience. Today, we present to you as elected members of your local district to propose continuation of long-term partnership between Business Wairarapa and the three Wairarapa councils. This partnership is crucial to our mutual success in supporting local businesses and driving economic growth. We are requesting a combined financial support totaling $120,000 annually for the next 3 years, starting from July 2024, meaning a contribution of $30,000 per annum from Carterton District Council. Whilst we acknowledge this request as an increase of the past 3 years, it is worth noting that Business Wairarapa is witnessing expansion and heightened demand for its services, yet its cost structure and capacity remain unchanged. With an MOU officially acknowledging partnership with the 3 councils, Business Wairarapa's commitment includes, but is not limited to, delivery of those crucial activities such as business training and connection Wairarapa-wide, commitment to continue a reduced cost Wairarapa skills training program, expansion of a business helpline offering free HR and employment legal advice to all Wairarapa businesses, coordination of the annual business summit held here at the magnificent Carterton Event Centre, attracting 200 participants and featuring nationally recognised speakers who provide actual insights and resources to our local businesses. Coordination of the annual business awards, including growing award entries by at least 10% annually, and celebrating the success and contributions of local businesses. Contribution to amalgamation discussion. Business Wairarapa is perfectly positioned to engage with the business community to ensure that their perspectives are considered. And regular reporting to the councils to ensure transparency, accountability, and alignment with mutual goals. I can't emphasise enough that Business Wairarapa works ground up. We do the doing, taking action to achieve high returns on investment. We are a dedicated volunteer board and one contractor that delivers to 600 businesses throughout the region. With your support and partnership, we can continue to make a tangible difference in the lives of local entrepreneurs, employers, and communities. And we do look forward to working together for a prosperous future. So that in essence is our summary of our submission, and we're happy to take questions.
Members, any questions for Nicola or Carl? No questions?
Okay, can I just have the final word then?
So I was just going to very fulsome submission, so thank you so much.
The final word is that our model works. Just in the last couple of days, I've had phone calls from the Kapiti District Council that are wanting to discover more about how Business Wairarapa works in this region and how we collaborate with our councils. You know, I think that's a real accolade for how Business Wairarapa and Carterton District Council, Masterton District Council and South Wairarapa District Council can work together. Yeah, that's what we're about. We'll keep on the good work.
Thank you. Question.
Yes.
Then I do have a question.
Yes.
Chair. Okay, so on that point, Business Wairarapa is fully aware that the 3 councils traditionally over the last
Question.
is question. The question most definitely is a question, but it has to have context. And is aware that we have all collaborated in the space of economic development, and Business Wairarapa is part of that. But it seems things are changing. How important to Business Wairarapa is it that the 3 councils continue to work together in such spaces as economic development, Wairarapa Economic Development Strategy, working with Business Wairarapa and working with Destination Wairarapa?
I think it's vital. Business Wairarapa and Destination Wairarapa are the only 2 entities that work Wairarapa inclusive. You know, our business in Carterton employs people from South Wairarapa and employs people from Masterton. It's not separate. For people living in Wairarapa, it's Wairarapa. It's not, you know, I travel to Masterton several times a week. It's only 40 kilometres and it's 3 district councils. You know, I can only see amalgamation as the future for Wairarapa. That's my personal opinion, but it is the opinion of our board.
Yep. That's for now. We're looking at the support that we provide to businesses across the Wairarapa under that umbrella, and that's, I mean, in plain speaking, that's crucially important. You start retracting some of that funding, and there's a hole you're getting to that you'll never get out of. That support is key.
Are you concerned about the Masterton proposals in their long term?
That's for the Masterton discussion.
But it affects us.
We can only put forward our long-term plan submission. Our contribution to amalgamation is included to our submission. We haven't been invited to consult on amalgamation, but we would welcome an opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we have Tracey Higgins from Go Carterton. Is there a video to play? Okay, so on Tracey is a video submission. And this is submission number 47.
The video, when you're prepared to put the video on, I just want to let the people online know that yesterday when I tested it, it didn't record, but you can see it in this room. But if people online won't see it, it's actually for 10 minutes of silence at your end till we exit. But I can, I've already sent it to Councillor Newman.
Thank you, Robin. Have you got our PowerPoint presentation?
I have.
Thanks.
So just to clarify, the next submission is the video for 10 minutes for Tracey's, and then following straight on from that will also be Ron Shaw presenting on part of Go Carterton. So one will roll in the other.
We'll run them together to make it seem.
But we do have, just for clarification, we do have two submissions that we will be running concurrently.
Takes a while to load.
Okay, that's all right. So, kia ora koutou. My name's Tracey Higgins. I'm the chair of Go Carterton. Morning, everybody. This is Ron Shaw. Together we are presenting on our Go Carterton submission. We'll take it that you've read it, so we won't be repeating it. And we do see ourselves as a great partner to the Carterton District Council, and thank you for hearing us today. The start of our presentation is actually on that PowerPoint, so just have to wait for it to show up.
So will Councillor Newman be able to see this?
She has been forwarded a copy of the video.
And the presentation.
And the presentation. Yes.
The video is embedded in the presentation. Okay, here we go. So we see ourselves, Carterton, as the heart of the Wairarapa. So next slide, please, Robin. We see ourselves as Daffodil Town by day, but at night we see ourselves as Space Town. We have a huge opportunity here in Carterton to really build on the work that Go Carterton did last year in Space Week. And we've got a real desire to make space a key project in the Go Carterton calendar each year. By creating a destination experience in Carterton, we believe it puts emphasis on our high street to tidy itself up rather than look like the shabby chic town that we have that is mirrored throughout New Zealand. But they also need a little bit of incentive and they need a gentle push. Together we can help support that. And by supporting this project, Go Carterton also wants to be really clear to the council that it's not always about dollars. Things can be done in kind and together we can grow together. So the current costs for the event that we've proposed to you this year are sitting around $1,700 for the event centre usage. And we believe that together we can also, by way of using some of the products that are at the Carterton Event Centre, included as a bit of a moneymaker for you as well. So we'd now like to show you a video, which is off this. And Space Week is obviously clearly there, so please put it in your diaries now for the 11th of October, and that goes for everyone in this room. So we'll show the video now.
Hello, I'm Harry. Hi, I'm Sam, and this is part of our submission for the funding for Carterton Space Week. Now, unfortunately, we can't be there in person, so Tracey's very kindly let us do a quick video so we can talk a little bit about why we think it's really important for Carterton to have a Space Week.
Carterton has his name from Charles King Carter, so that's a very good starting point, and he gave a lot of money to Wellington to have an observatory there, so there is a historical aspect to it. There is an educational aspect to it. We travel around the country and we've been almost everywhere in New Zealand, and we see the impact that space sciences have on students and on kids in particular. little ones, they love planets and dinosaurs, and they love to learn how our planet was made and where do we come from. And we think space is one of those greatest hooks to tie and inspire tiny little kids and not so tiny little kids, and actually everybody, the whole family, all whānaus, into learning a little bit more about our planet. And our planet needs us. We have all these issues that we're grappling with now, from climate change to all of the things that are happening around. And so space explains how we can help. And I think it's the greatest hook that we can get for people to learn a bit more.
And of course, one of the big reasons we want to have a space week, and in fact a celebration of space, and maybe even Carterton being a space town, is it's unique, and it's a pretty cool thing for Carterton to have. Now, some of the practicalities, you know, this is a rural area. We have we don't have the high incomes here that Wellington has. There's a few social issues here. We've got our town. We don't have a big rates take. You know, there's a lot of pressing infrastructure expenses and so on that obviously the council are deliberating with. And so there's not a whole lot of money to go around. What we think is really important then is, how do we attract people here to Carterton? You know, one of the cool things that we've got this amazing town. We've got this amazing vibe about our town. We've got some really cool people. We've got a really vibrant community, a lot of volunteers. It's an amazing place to be part of. And plus, it's a huge district. You know, it goes all the way to the coast and to the mountains. It's a big district. And probably most importantly, from a sort of a space tourism perspective, we're part of this dark sky reserve, the Wairarapa Dark Sky Reserve. And that's a huge feather in our cap, and it's a massive opportunity just waiting for us to leverage. And I think one of the easiest and best ways to leverage it is to have some celebrations and some events and activities that are kind of geared up around space as a fairly broad theme that we can get the whole community involved in.
Also, World Space Week is very awesome because we could do anything related to space really, but World Space Week makes this connection between what people learn at school and what's going on and their future careers. And New Zealand has just had an extraordinary development in the last few years since the inception of the New Zealand Space Agency. Yay, we have one, so they are there, everybody heard about it, and everybody's very interested to understand and learn how can they contribute. And the first step is literally come and have a look at the stars through the telescope, or participate in an event like this World Space Week event, or Carterton Space Week as we renamed it collectively. And so we think would be a great opportunity to get people here to learn about the night sky and learn a little bit more from all the speakers, so people can have an experience that is literally out of this world.
So we know there's interest in this kind of event. A couple of years ago, in fact, the Christmas, the start of last year, we ran a pop-up space science centre in the old Video Easy post office building. And that was really successful. We brought nearly 3,500 people in the doors there. And about 2,500 of those came from outside of Carterton. And they came to Carterton to come for the space theme, to come into the space centre and learn a little bit about space. And it was hugely successful. And I think there was a lot of side benefits too for the businesses on the high street that were around. There were extra people in town, and some of them would have been shopping, some of them would have bought a coffee at the cafes, popped into Steve's bookshop. You know, there's a huge opportunity for this kind of thing. So we know there's an interest in there. We know this is a way that we can draw people into Carterton. So what we're planning for Space Week this year, and I'm sure Tracey has touched on a little bit of it, is it's basically a week, a program of events that are going to be held each day, open to all aspects, all parts of the community. We're going to start on the Saturday with an event in the courthouse, where in the morning we'll have a bunch of stalls set up and experts on different things like astrophotography, telescopes, space kind of theme stuff, where people can come in and talk to them about different things. And then in the afternoon we're going to have a series of speakers. We've already got Mark G. He's a very famous astrophotographer and has actually done a lot of astrophotography here in the Wairarapa. So it's brilliant that we've got him. He's going to do a talk on it. Then the next day we're going to have some fun in the park. We've got some water rockets, a bit like what we did last year, but it's hopefully going to be a bit bigger this year. We're going to have the Phoenix Astronomical Society involved as well. And then on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday we've got a series of talks and other events. I think on Tuesday we've got our Business Connect event, and that is aiming to look at how we can invigorate the tourism how we can leverage tourism off the Dark Sky Reserve, and what we can do in the Carterton district to help accommodation businesses, make the most of this opportunity and get more business coming their way as well.
We also like to have people from the New Zealand Space Agency to come here and talk about all of the projects and plans and future developments in the space industry, all the satellites that are going to go out there, and all the opportunities that people will have. And these events like these don't really happen around the country. There are not so many events as large as this one, the way and the scale and magnitude to what we would like to have in during the World Space Week this year. And I hope that this is going to be the first in a series of events like that will be held here every year, and so people would know that if they want to get information and latest updates about space, or learn a little bit of astrophotography, or learn a little bit about the night sky, Carterton would be the destination to go. We would be so thrilled to be known as the space destination. People kind of like look at Lake Tekapo and they look at all the South Island facilities that exist in there, and they're started to realize that 80 kilometers from Wellington, which is an international airport, there is a Dark Sky Reserve, which is if not better than the one in Lake Tekapo, at least as good as that one. And we have data to sustain that. We have darkness and rain data, and so we know that we're at least as good as the reserve there. And so we could sustain an international audience. We could sustain anything that is related to space and astronomy here from Carterton, which we think is very, very awesome, because we love Carterton. We live in Carterton. We chose to move here because of the dark sky and because of this fabulous, fabulous skyscape that we can see from here.
So another part of what we're doing this week for Carterton Space Week is we're going to host, we're planning on it, a seminar to look at vocational pathways for our young people. So our young people can come into this session, they can talk to people who are already working in the aerospace sector. They can look at what educational opportunities there are, and then what vocational opportunities there are as well, which is, we think it's going to be really fantastic, and it's going to have a great wide appeal for our young people. And it's actually such a really key and important part of these kind of events. So I guess you probably want to know, well, what are we going to spend the money on? It's not free to host these kind of events. It takes a lot of coordination. We need venues. We need to have some marketing. We've got to get out there and let people know what's going on. We've got to get posters up around town. In fact, around the whole Wairarapa, we'd like to spread this around as much as we can. We want to try and drag people from Wellington over the hill, so we need to have a pretty good marketing campaign to get out over there and get them over here so they know that Space Week's on and what it entails. So we've got a lot of different events that are planned for the week. Some of them are going to involve transport as well. We'd like to have a free event up here at Star Safari, which is where we're filming this, and of course it'd be really cool if we could put on some transport to get people up here who wouldn't normally come out to here at Star Safari. So that all costs money. Also, it's a lot of administration. We really need some help with the administration to get ticketing sorted, get the events, the coordination, all that kind of stuff. It takes a heck of a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort. And all of us here on Go Carterton, where we're putting in our own effort, our own time, and in many cases our own money. And any assistance that we can get from the council would be certainly greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much for listening to us.
Yeah, and we hope you now have a better understanding of what Carterton Space Week's about, and we hope that you want to get behind and support us in this great opportunity that we've got for Carterton. We'd love to see this as an annual event. In fact, even make it bigger, have it a couple of times a year.
Right. We'll now dovetail straight into Ron.
Madam Chair, Your Worship, my section is actually seamless with what Tracey's talking about. So this is probably a time when you can ask questions and maybe even catch up some time.
Committee members, open.
Just really a question around the money, because that's where Sam and Harry finish. So the request and the submission for the 20,000, so that's in terms of breakdown, that's in order to lubricate events such as the Star Safari.
It's if we can make
Not
things.
Star Safari.
Yeah. Space Week, yeah. It's about what we can do to make things as free as possible for people. Because a lot of our time's going into organising it. And we've got a pretty awesome committee, I have to say. We're really lucky. We've got some great connections with Wairarapa, and we'll be doing what we can to get things as free as possible for people. Because we see, particularly for youth, you cannot be what you cannot see. And we want to make sure that our youth in Carterton have things that they can see, that they can be part of. We also want to draw people into the Wairarapa. We are so lucky in Carterton that not only Milky Way Kiwi, we also have Stonehenge Aotearoa. So we're really lucky in Carterton to have these here, and also the link to Carter Observatory. So where possible, we want to keep things as free as possible for people, but we need support to make sure that we can make things.
Thank you.
Thank you. A great presentation, and of course we all love what Sam and they're doing. So, but what is your total budget for this, and what is the Go Carterton members' contributions? This is something that, if I hear the presentation correctly, is going to benefit other businesses within Carterton. So I'd like to know what your total budget is and what percentage the Carterton District Council ratepayers' contribution will be of that. Secondly, we are also putting money in through Destination Wairarapa, who have Dark Skies as a key strategic plan. How do you button with Destination Wairarapa? What's the relationship? Are we doing the same thing?
We talk with them, and we had big conversations last year, and we asked for some funding from them last year to help support what we were doing in Carterton, appreciating that Carterton District Council provided them funding. Unfortunately, they were unable to support with any funding except for giving us, discussions, which is how we work with them, is generally we'll work through and come through different ways of looking at different angles of things. So it's generally more discussions, not money, unfortunately, that we were able to procure from Destination Wairarapa to help support some of this, which is why we're centering it this year. The activities last year, we tried to get them into Carterton, but for some reason there was a bit of a miscommunication. We ended up in Martinborough for one of the Business Connect ones, but that's why we want to bring the Business Connect here this year. And how our members have funded it as well as last year. All of the, I'm assuming you've seen all of the amazing social media stuff that we did last year. And everything that we did, everything we organised was all funded by Go Carterton members. So the rocket stuff that happened at the park that got all the young kids involved, that was just amazing. Such a great day. That was all funded by Go Carterton. Obviously, Sam and Harry put a lot of their time and energy in as well, and they do that for free. The committee meets regularly about this, and we all donate our time for free. It's not like it supports my business at all, but I see it as a community initiative, and part of Go Carterton is actually not just about a business association. Like if you look at our website, we are actually targeted at doing community things as well. So we're also a community focused organisation as well as for businesses.
Do you have a total budget?
At the moment, it's 20 grand if we can get that. Otherwise, we'll be looking to fund into
CDP funds 100.
Not necessarily, because Go Carterton, there'll be Go Carterton will be paying as well. Yeah. So there's a lot that Go Carterton brings to it, and we also fund it as well because our social media is a paid position, so we fund it that way as well. Yeah, and through our time.
Tracey, I have a question following on from Ron's around Destination Wairarapa. Surely they have supported you with their marketing and their reach and putting out to their members. Sort of, I know they send out a weekly email, what's on in the Wairarapa. So I remember seeing something last year from DW. So
I think the best way that I've ever seen marketing done from within the Wairarapa is generally through those kind of networks, and Carterton District Council has some marketing networks as well. I've seen those work really effectively, like through the Neighbourhood Watch, that gets into people's inboxes and people read it.
So I guess my question is, have you had discussions with DW on how they can support you through their huge marketing reach, which benefits the whole of the Wairarapa?
We have had initial discussions with them. They are going through a bit of change at the moment though, so we're being respectful of that. Yeah, but we've got a wee bit of way to go as well in the time frame, and there is more that we will be doing.
Thank you. Any?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you, Tracey and Ron. I just had a question around, I think Space Week's fantastic. I have a question around Space Town, and I'm just curious how many of Carterton businesses have actually been in support of Carterton becoming a Space Town. And I'm also curious as to what other funding agencies Go Carterton might have approached.
We've got a few others that we're working on at the moment. We're in a state of change at the moment because part of our committee will change, the support to our committee. So we are looking to bring on someone who can help us with funding as well and other aspects. So that's an aspect that we're looking at. It's just the time in the calendar that you happen to fall at this time. Yeah. Versus there's others that we'll be looking at as well. And we're also looking to self-fund. So like my business will be looking to support Space Week as well as other businesses that are Go Carterton members will be supporting, because we see it as really important for our town. So we're prepared to put our own money into it as well. But there will be others like Transit and comes to mind as well, contacting them about some of the transportation things.
And local businesses?
Us are in support.
Space Town?
Yeah, are in support. Yeah. We only represent our members though, Steve. So just to be very clear, we're representing our members. We've been talking about it with our members since last year when we put our submission in. So I can't speak for all the other businesses who choose not to be members of Go Carterton.
Thank you.
There being no other questions?
I just have one talking about other people who've submitted. I know when Grant made his submission, he acknowledged that they were in discussion with Go Carterton. It seems to me that they probably have quite a lot of manpower who might be useful of you.
Or person power, yeah.
So we're talking to Grant about these things?
We can talk to Grant about these things, but they do have a particular focus. They are just setting up, Steve. So I also wouldn't want to burden them with other aspects as well. We see this as a long-term thing for Go Carterton. Not everything needs to be done this year. Yeah.
But it is.
We have shrunk back what we originally thought we would do, recognise we want to grow and you've got to allow room for.
But it is possible this could be a little bit of a catalyst to get some stuff done in the high street.
I'm hopeful.
That's my point.
Yeah, I'm hopeful because we do actually see that at some point we would like to get the high street decorated with space themes as well. I mean, I could just imagine the entire Milky Way running along High Street, or, you know, all the planet systems and all the rest of it. I happened to grow up in a place that had all the planet names as well. So it could be that we too might end up with a Apollo parade in Carterton, who knows, with street names. I mean, there's actually so many different ways now that you think about it that the council can support creating Space Town as a destination in Carterton.
Thank you both for your double submission, your energy and putting your submissions in. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
And this sort of dovetails in quite nicely into our last submitter before our morning tea break, Anna Nielson from Destination Wairarapa. Welcome to the table, Anna.
I have to stand in the front, or must I?
It's being videoed, so if that's okay, you feel free to stand if you would like. It's just where the cameras are set up for it. Yeah.
Sure, I might stand if that's okay with everybody. I spend too much time sitting as it is. Kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Anna Nielson toko ingoa, no Destination Wairarapa aho. I left secondary school in 1990 and I was pretty sure that I would never return to the Wairarapa. I felt there was nothing for me here. It was boring and dull and with limited opportunities for someone like me. Back then, the Wairarapa was like a sleepy rural suburb on the outskirts of Wellington, and people would move here looking for a slower pace of life. 30-something years later, thanks largely to tourism, and things are very different. There is a buzz about the place, a new sense of pride and confidence. And people move here to create a life for themselves, not just a lifestyle. For me personally, I came back permanently 12 years ago, bringing my family with me. And now, as GM of Destination Wairarapa, I have the absolute privilege of leading a passionate, committed, talented team of individuals who work tirelessly to promote everything we all love about this place we all call home. Destination Wairarapa is an RTO, or Regional Tourism Organisation, and there are 31 in the country. Our primary reason for being is to promote the Wairarapa to potential visitors outside of the region, to encourage inward investment. This morning I stand before you to talk specifically about the opportunities and importance of tourism to Carterton. Carterton is on State Highway 2. Every day, visitors to Wairarapa drive through Carterton. Every day, by default, therefore, tourism happens in Carterton. The opportunity for Carterton is to give those visitors a reason to stop, stay, spend, and explore further. Why is this important? Visitors to the Carterton district bring with them new money from outside of the region. When they buy something, they are investing this new money into the existing pot of Carterton money, already moving around amongst its residents as they buy food at the local supermarket or fill up their car at the local petrol station. When visitors to the Carterton district invest this new money into the local economy, it automatically increases the wealth of Carterton residents through products or services purchased, wages and salaries paid. Sometimes those visitors love their stay so much they come back time and time again and buy homes and set up businesses and employ staff, thereby further increasing the wealth of Carterton residents and ratepayers. You are or know of many people who have done just that. Aren't we richer for it? Every quarter, I talk to you on how Destination Wairarapa is tracking against the targets set by you, the Carterton District Council and the other two councils, in accordance with our joint MOU. I therefore talk about spend in the region, visitation to the region as measured by guest nights and commercial accommodation, and the marketing activity we have undertaken in order to attract people to the region. You all know that tourism is back to being the #2 export earner behind dairy in New Zealand. And after the summer just been, visitation to Wairarapa is strong once again. You also all understand that no amount of promotional activity by Destination Wairarapa is going to increase spend or visitation in Carterton if there is little opportunity for visitors to spend their money or find places to stay. We, however, have been making great inroads in this area over the last few years through work done with Star Safari, as you've seen. Longbush Cottage, Lavender Abbey, Aunt Ginger's, Ribbon Rock, Whiti Manuka, Wairarapa Wine Harvest, and the soon-to-be opened exciting new development at Ula, just to name a few. As a result, spend in Carterton increased 9.2% when compared pre- and post-COVID figures. There is still, however, so much to do collectively. The opportunity for tourism for Carterton is enormous, but it doesn't happen by itself, and it doesn't happen in isolation. Just ask any successful tourist region in the world. It requires all stakeholders to be on the same page, heading in the same direction and playing their part in the bigger plan. Luckily, we have the Wairarapa Destination Management Plan, a plan to build sustainable tourism for the region to help guide us. Destination Wairarapa is the only organisation in the Wairarapa that does the part that we do, whether that be through event promotion, product development, destination management, or marketing. We have the skills and expertise to help Carterton become even stronger. But we need to work together in partnership to make the most of the opportunity. Through the combined Council Tourism MOU process, therefore, tell us what you want to see from Destination Wairarapa, and then get behind us in a way that best sets us up to deliver successfully for the Carterton District's residents and ratepayers. The opportunity is there for the taking, and we are up for it if you are too. Kia ora.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your presentation. So we have some time for questions. Do I have any questions from any of the councillors? Yes.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And I have a couple of questions, just mainly one around Destinations Wairarapa's future strategy if other councils pull out of the funding. Has Destination Wairarapa already got some kind of succession plan in place if funding is lost?
Yes, we have. The board have been looking into that. It's a hard one because nobody knows how much or how soon. So we haven't got a set strategy in place. We know why we are here and what we are here to do. Over the years, particularly with the destination management plan and during COVID, our remit has expanded to things like product development, which we've never done before. Unfortunately, if funding was cut, then services have to be pulled in. And then we go back to doing exactly what we are here originally to do, which is to promote the region outside of the region. And I just touch on the point that Go Carterton mentioned previously. Go Carterton and creating this as a space week and a space town is absolutely right on point. I absolutely support that 100%. In the beginning, with last year's Space Week, that was predominantly focused at locals. Our reason for being is to promote outside of the region, inward investment, as I explained earlier. So our connection with them was about development and exploring ways that the event could grow and prosper. And this year, it's pleasing for me to hear that they are keen to promote outside of the region. That is absolutely our strong point, and that is absolutely where we'll get in behind them and make sure Wellingtonians, anyone in the lower North Island, know that Carterton has a Space Week and that it's heading towards being known as a space town.
Thank you. Councillor Newman, do you have any questions at all?
Just one question. Those businesses that you mentioned, are they all members of Destination Wairarapa?
Yes, they are.
And so do you support businesses outside your membership base?
Yes and no. Absolutely, we support community businesses like Space Week that are trying to get themselves up and going, but also we are a membership organisation and we are limited of funding. So on the whole, if there's a business that we're involved with and they become a member, it's $200 a year. It is not an expensive thing to be part of, but our role is also, when it comes to Carterton, is to promote the wonderful free things that you can do here, like heading up into the Tararuas, like the local parks and recreation, like Fensham Reserve. All those sorts of things we get right behind and promote through our connection with the Wellington Regional Trails Framework, and hopefully in time more cycle trails through this region as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just heard the dinger go. Thank you so much for submitting and for the work that Destination Wairarapa does and for presenting today.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. With that, I will adjourn. We are running a little behind time, so if we can reconvene at 10:30.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good, Rob.